Hello, my name is Michael Ensor, and this is Advertising Report Card. And today we have a great report card for integrity, moving, and packing. This is going to cover both social ads as well as SEO and Google ads. Plus, we're going to roll through the new website they just designed and fix the things that are not going to convert well. And we're going to dive into as much of this as possible. These videos are supposed to last around 30 minutes, but we have a lot of content to cover today, so we might go a little bit over. With that being said, let's hop directly into what we are doing today. So first, a quick overview again of what the report card is. We effectively go through the entire marketing strategy of what you are and what you are not doing. This video recording is what you'll watch in order to get instruction on how to improve what you're doing. After this, we'll do a one-on-one Q&A to discuss what's in the report, as well as provide guidance to what is to come next. You have links to your assets, including all files, plus the two things I wanted to point out here are the keyword report and revenue calculator, both you have access to, in order to see this information after the report card's done. Sorry if there's any noise in the background. I'm currently on a patio over a fairly busy road. So the goals and objectives are to go through the social ads, Google ads, and SEO, and to mine out each of the details of each of those and how we can work and improve for integrity, move, and pack. And the goal of this is so that you know what channel to move into first. The main thing I wanted to talk about before we get to any marketing at all is the new site, which looks good, but there's some things that need to get improved. CROs, conversion rate optimization. The whole point of this is websites have a conversion rate. So if you have 100 people go to your site and only one person fills out a form or calls, that's a 1% conversion rate. If 10 people call, that's a 10% conversion rate. So figuring out how to take it from 5 people to 10 people to 20 people out of that group of 100 people who go to your site is an extremely important practice, because especially if you're going to be paying for ads, you want to make sure that everybody who gets to that page has the opportunity to convert. So the first thing on the homepage I wanted to point out, and I have this in the report, that's why I'm going through this versus the actual site itself, because I want to have the notes displayed, is that the homepage has some call to action sections, which aren't terrible. But the main thing is the request service and the request a quote button on the homepage, the first things people see, they're call only. This is for desktop and phone. So while doing this review on my desktop, I thought it was odd that these buttons tried to force my computer to make a call through Skype. It's not a very normal process for most people, especially now. If you're on your phone, you want to have a phone call, that's fine. But usually when you're on your desktop shopping, you're looking for the phone number to call, or you're filling out a form. So in this section, I would recommend having a form right top and center, and if not, at least add a secondary button so that people can call or get pushed to the contact page to fill out a form. But best practices say to actually have a form right here on the home page, right up at the top, so people don't have to scroll at all, and they'll be able to convert right then and there. And on that form, you can prompt them to make a call by actually listing the phone number and making that phone number clickable. So not only can someone on desktop read the number and type it into their phone manually, but they can also on their phone tap that number that's on the contact form so they can make the call. So what that does is actually consolidates the conversion area on the homepage so that people don't have to click any button, they don't have to go to another page, which is really what the main point of preventing drop-off is, that people will drop off if they have to take too many steps or if they get confused. And sometimes people just simply forget what they're doing or they back out. And you don't want to give them that chance. You want to convert them as soon as you have a chance to do so. And also, the only button on the homepage, Contact Us, is what brings them to the contact page with the form. So there is a little bit of user experience confusion at the above fold section. And why this is important is because this is going to be the most dominated view of your website. Very front and center. It's kind of like a newspaper. That's why they call it above the fold. Is because before a newspaper is unfolded, people see the headline, people see the main news right at the top, and you don't want people to even have to go past that point to convert into a lead. So the above fold area definitely needs some work. Right below, there's a section that says Contact Us. It's not even a clickable section, and it lists the email, which is very odd. This should in itself be a button that goes to a form, or at least list the phone number. Another thing, too, in the location is it only shows the area. Your GMB location is what should be listed here because it's going to help your SEO. The time is fine, but these areas need to get fixed. And the other thing I thought was a little odd is that the review section for testimonials is so far down the page, but it's also massive and there's no images. I would shorten this area up and I would bring it up closer to so when people see you're above the fold section with the ability to convert, right below it they should have, and everyone's happy with us, here's our 5-star reviews. That way if someone doesn't convert at the very above fold section, they're immediately getting validation from your customers, which is a proven way to make sure people can convert because they start to trust you as other people trust you. Another thing I wanted to mention is the navigation. When you are on the services hover, the navigation pops down with the logo visible again, which I'm not 100% sure is the greatest idea, but since it's a huge fold for the navigation, it also takes up a lot of real estate. It should just be a simple drop down. This is a visual representation, so the goal here is design, I guess form over function, if you will. But even with that being said, the actual buttons in this navigation are extremely small. They're dark gray, almost black, against a dark navy background. Unless you have really good vision, this will be hard to read. The sizing's a little off, but the spacing's off too. If you have any type of color blindness, this is just going to look blank. So we need to change that as well. Next would be the contact page. So I have all this written out here, by the way, so that you can read through it. But the main thing is there's so much real estate being used on this vertical format. I get that there's the image and the contact us, but the contact us is kind of getting lost with the numbers on the background, and then you have this huge section. The form should absolutely be at the top, like right up there on the contact page. So if anybody gets here, they do not have to scroll. The moment you force someone to scroll, even if it's design-oriented or not, you're going to lose conversions. So if we take a closer look down the conversion section, this area here is here again, taking up real estate that needs to get fixed. But another thing is that the form is almost invisible. It's kind of like the navigation. So it looks like this styling that was done on the site didn't take into account the most clicked areas of a website, which would be the form or the navigation. Both are almost impossible to see. Another thing that I thought was weird, I mean, it looks cool, like the concept is cool, but a cool concept doesn't get conversions. This is a multi-column contact form bridged together with the send button underneath this section here. But effectively, people have to fill this information out, and then they have to fill this out. I would imagine that most people will completely skip past this and not even realize that this is something that they have to do, because this is what the offers and call to actions look like across the rest of the site. So the main point is you want to have one form, shorter fields, very easy to read, stands out on the page more so than anything, and that all of the questions are centered into the correct section. There shouldn't be multi-column contact forms, and the contact form itself should be very easy to fill out. If you want them to offer a lot more information, what I would do is capture their name, email, phone number, when they want to move, and then send them to the next page, and have that next page ask them more questions if need be. But in this instance, there's also a lot of questions, and that can hurt conversions as well. Scrolling past that on the contact page, there's this massive map region, which really doesn't serve its purpose. It does show where you operate, but it takes up so much space on the contact page. Where are the reviews? The reviews are nowhere on the contact page, which again, for validation, is extremely important. And I have this written out as well. So after the home and contact page, which should be your top 2 converting pages, and I know I'm going through this very quickly, I wanted to say that you should be able to go back, pause, and take notes as need be, because we will move quickly through the video. On the one-on-one, we'll be able to dive in more deep. So with this section, when you go to the services page, there's an area where the contact form should have been. Instead, it's a secondary navigation. So you have your navigation here, and then you have your navigation here. This isn't going to be clear. I imagine that some people will click home, some people will click local move, and it'll recycle the page again. It's not clear what is to be done here. And as you scroll down, you can see here that there's a third navigation section. When people have the ability to navigate to or from a page, that page itself is going to have a lower conversion rate. If the goal is to get people to convert, don't make them go page to page and navigate away from what they're looking for. have the call to actions built for conversion. Discounts is a button, but it's not clear that it is a button until you hover over it and your hover effect changes. So having something a little bit more worded differently and then visually different for this, the actual placement underneath this is good. I would shorten this section, get rid of this, put the form here, but at the very least, if not, put the contact form here so that when people see this section, they see that they can contact, and underneath they'll see the discount section. Another thing I thought was odd was the extremely oversized header font pushing the page content down. This header font almost looks like an error because there's no reason why something so big should be on the site. Even if they were trying to use H1 to benefit, H1 meaning header 1 style, to benefit SEO, it's just, they can change the styling of this so it's not so big. It does not need to be this large. Also, the first conversion area that's actually on the service pages is 3 folds down. So you have this fold, and then finally you see the get in touch, and it's kind of tucked away on the right. You don't want to be subtle about getting people to get in touch. You want to be very direct. Another thing too is you should not show your email on your website. One of the biggest things that crawlers and spam bots do is they crawl websites for email addresses that are listed in the footer or listed on the site, because then they get deposited into a database where these are all these business emails, and they sell that database to people who want to send emails to businesses. If somebody wants to contact you via email, they should be putting in a form, because that sends the email for you to then respond with the call and the email as well. There should be no reason to list the actual email on the site. So how do we know where to put things on the website? We use heat mapping as one of the many tools in addition to analytics that allow us to see how people are scrolling and how people are using the site. This example on another moving company shows that the above fold, you get 100% views, and that's why we have the contact form and all the different selections here, because the moment you scroll down to the next fold, this is 75%, you've already lost 25% of all people who visited the site. You see this green? That's getting to the 50% zone. So with one fold scroll, you can lose up to 50% of all visits. And if you're paying for ads like Google Ads, you're losing 50% of all the click budget you spent sending them to the page if they have to scroll. Also, we use click tracking to see, is it easy to convert? What are people clicking to convert? How is it benefiting them? And is the user experience favorable to conversions? So that's why I really wanted to map out the conversion rate optimization. We're going to jump into marketing now, but these are things that we'd want to fix before we launch campaigns. All right, without further ado, let's hop into Facebook. So the first thing I wanted to talk about with social ads in general is that there's a difference between search and social. Search is intent-based. People go to Google to search because they want to do business. They want to buy something. Social is all about interest-based, all about action-based, but the people that are on social media, they don't log on to Facebook to make a purchase. They go on there to look at memes, their family's dog pictures, what their friends' kids are doing, things of that nature. So it's passive. With that being said, targeting people who are moving with social ads can convert, and it can be a cheaper conversion. And I'll show you some examples of that shortly. Let's dive into the actual competitors that you submitted, and then also some competitors that we found as examples for running ads. So the first one is Muscular Moving Men. They only have 2 ads running. One is which for business development, and they have no local in-state move ads. It's only out-of-state. And it's pretty generic. They have the picture of the out-of-state truck with some of the abbreviation. One thing that I thought was odd about this is they actually make people look for the number. They have 8774 Fit Move. People do not look at numbers on the phone like letters anymore. I get that that was a formal thing back in the day. This is actually anti-marketing. Make it so simple that a 5th grader could do it. This number would need to be swapped out. Also, hiring a business development person through Facebook, it's kind of an odd ad. Whoever is managing their ads is not on point. This would absolutely be a competitor that you could steal leads from. 2 Men in a Truck in the Phoenix branch are not running ads, but 2 Men in a Truck as a company are. So here's a couple examples of the ads that they're running. Pretty generic. It's all about reviews. As you can see here, it's literally just a review, copy and paste it in here, and then a little bit of some conversation. But they're not really using ads best practices, and the creatives could be better. The company that I wanted to really point out the most here is BEK. Now, this is not a local company, but I wanted to show you what it looks like to have good ad copy. You can see here that it's bold and they play with emojis. And they also have images that are branded with the truck, and they have some images that are edited. And these are all things that are really important. It doesn't just drive traffic. This company is branding themselves very well. People are going to start to get used to what they look like. The ads tie into what they look like in person, and the copy is strong as well. These are absolutely things that we can emulate, especially since they're not competition. We have nothing to worry about with emulating them, but there are still things that they could improve. But I wanted to show you an example of what some moving company ads would look like on social, one done in a better manner. Last but not least, Dose Moving and Storage. They're not running ads at all. So between Dose and Two Men in a Truck in Phoenix and Muscular Moving Men, there's absolutely an option for you to do ads in this section that will drive you leads, and you could absolutely steal leads from your competitors as well. Since social is going to be a newer front, the main thing I wanted to talk about on the guidance is that when you are splitting up the audience and who you want to target on social, there's specific niche geo-targeting, age, placement, and then making sure that you're mixing the ads up. So while some of these examples look static here, I saw that the Beck company had paused ads, relaunched ads, and are targeting people for different reasons. For what we're trying to accomplish with geo-targeting is making sure that you focus on the areas and exclude the areas that may not be producing as much revenue. Some people consider that low income, or maybe there's industrial area, places where you're not looking to target your ads. Age is important as well, because if you just target everybody, you're going to spend a lot more budget. But if you can segment the age targeting to make sure that who you're targeting is in specific buckets, you can also use different types of language. The person who is 60 years old plus, what they're looking for from a moving company might be different from somebody who's 30. So there's like the family orientation versus relocation of an elderly person. Making sure that the copy matches up with the targeting is very important. Also, as far as the funnel structure, it exists, but it's only existing on the top of funnel right now for you guys. You have ads running, but what happens when someone engages? What happens if someone visits your site? There is no middle of funnel or bottom of funnel, meaning that if you have ads running and someone engages with an ad and doesn't convert, they've then moved themselves to the middle of funnel. They've shown their interest with their interaction, and then from there, you want to keep serving them ads as much as possible, whether on search or social. But bottom of funnel is anyone who's visited the website. Especially for moving companies, you have about 72 hours to make sure that you get that person on board. If not, they're going to find someone else. So there's a time sensitivity part here at the bottom of funnel that's affordable, because you're not just running ads forever. Running them for a couple days, and if they still don't convert, pulling them out of the campaign by capping the ability for them to see the ads is really the move here. Because that way, anybody who falls out and who's competitively shopping price quotes, they'll see your ads, they'll see whatever promo you offer in those ads, and they'll build trust with you because of that. Another thing I wanted to mention is on the remarketing campaigns. Even if you don't want to do social, I always say this, at the very least, run a remarketing campaign. People who are visiting your site that do not convert are the most effective and affordable leads to generate, because you've already demonstrated who you are to them. They know who you are because they visited your website, or maybe it's like a customer list that's like people who you want to go back. Like bottom of funnel are people that are exactly who you want to target. Their cost per lead tends to be cheaper, so you always want to make sure that you can focus on that. And also, for Brooks, I wanted to show you one of the other moving companies we work with. We have a messaging campaign. Cost per lead is $12 per message in the past 7 days. Each of these messages is prompting them to make a call or fill out a form for more information. So while Google Ads might cost more because of your cost per click, social ads can be cheaper lead, but it's all audience and targeting based. These people didn't have the intent before they saw your ad to move. So while Google Ads might be more expensive, those leads are going to convert. It's a little bit more questionable on the social side, especially if you don't call them for a day. You have to be on top of these leads when they come in on social to make sure that you're converting them. But with that being said, again, you can produce a lot of opportunity with social targeting. The next thing I wanted to talk about specifically, especially since PPC has driven the most revenue in the moving industry compared to SEO and social, is in your area, the cost per click for the generic terms is not cheap. You're averaging around $20 to $25. I know it says top of page, anywhere between $30 to $60 for some of these terms like long distance moving companies. It's going to vary based off of competition, but also of volume, how many people are really searching for those keywords. How I recommend bidding on these keywords is based off of gross revenue. What's going to drive the most revenue? Somebody searching for just moving company versus long distance moving company. The long distance is showing that there's going to be additional revenue there, which is probably why your competition is bidding up on that. Sorry about the horn honking in the background, but the competition's probably bidding up on that. You can also see that movers near me is a much more affordable keyword. So when we're managing these campaigns, we're pairing these keywords with the regions that you want to focus in and the services that drive the revenue. Some of our moving company clients, they don't want to be furniture movers. They don't want to do a safe moving. They'd rather move a whole home. So depending on what you want to target, if you want to do the handyman type jobs like pool table movers, we can absolutely drive those types of leads in addition to long distance moving. But if you only wanted to do local or only wanted to do long distance, you can, based off of us moving the bids around. This way we'll be able to manage your budget as effectively as possible for the service leads you're trying to generate. As far as the competitors go, one thing I thought was kind of weird about Arizona is there's a lot of national brands trying to cherry pick moves in Arizona, but they're really not doing a great job. Like as an example, this company has Los Angeles in their ad copy, and they're talking about California. They're leaning into your area to generate leads, but they're not going to generate much because anybody looking for moving company in Phoenix isn't going to hire the Los Angeles company. So out of the gate, boom, this is absolutely somebody that we can overtake. And then you also have some of the van line companies as well, but they're generic. They have some pricing, but they are, again, generic. If you are local and you can speak to the local need, that's important. This, highlighted in green, is your actual local competitor. They just don't have really great ad copy. So there is a lot of opportunity on PPC, similar to social, against your competition to not just be better than them, but to generate traffic that they would have generated traffic away from them. So that was the competitor I wanted to run through, but the other thing I wanted to show you is the difference between SEO and paid search. So this dashboard is actually for a moving company that shows the volume that has come in from their Google My Business listing. As you can see here, they've definitely been jumping up month over month. We have been recently taken over their SEO campaign. You can see here they have 78 calls just for the past 38 days with 125 unique website visitors. So these are people who would go in and do form fills. And these are the people that would call in directly. From the owner of the company, what we've heard is that these calls, almost all of them have converted. So they're very high quality calls. The person's already looked at that company's reviews. They chose to call that company over other companies because they wanted to get a direct quote. Quotes are typically done over the phone immediately. So they've been netting a lot of conversions from this. And then also website traffic healthily increasing. The main thing I wanted to show you that's different between this and Google Ads is you have about a 30-mile radius around your GMB to drive traffic. GMB being the Google My Business listing. With Google Ads, you can see that we've driven over 1,100 clicks during the same time period. The difference is that we're able to cherry pick cities and keywords that we don't rank for and drive traffic from them as well. As you can see, they have a very healthy budget of over $6,000. This is not something you'd have to start with. They actually started with, I believe, $2,500 in ad spend. And they've raised it incrementally over time because of the results that they've gotten. As you can see here, with the increase in cost, we also have the increase in conversions. So what I wanted to point out with this is that while Google Maps, the organic SEO side of search, can absolutely drive traffic, and it's something that's going to be the longevity of the company, Google Ads allows you to go outside of where you're ranking organically and also inside of what you're not ranking for organically that you can work for with SEO and grab that traffic that you would have missed anyways. And this also shows that if you were to do one or the other, imagine all these numbers being zero on one of these other reports. Because if you're not investing in SEO, you're not going to increase your rank and generate those additional leads. If you're not doing Google Ads, while waiting for your ranking to increase with SEO, you're not going to be generating those extra leads either. So I always recommend for moving companies, compare SEO and Google Ads, but do both of them because they both feed each other. People who go to search, some use ads, some use maps, some go to organic listings. Ranking number one organically is going to help you generate traffic from the people who choose one of those three options. Google Ads will cover the spread of the stuff that you would have missed either way. Another thing to consider is that when you turn off Google Ads or lower the budget, it either slows down or stops completely. SEO is kind of like a plane where once you have it going, it starts to coast. You always want to keep working on it so that it's growing, but SEO has more staying power than PPC, of course, because when you pause a campaign, you immediately cut off the flow of leads coming from that channel. And to speak more on the SEO side of things, since Integrity is a newer company, not like new in the sense that new that you guys just started, I know that you've been operating for a while now, but as far as to Google goes, with all the keywords that we've tracked against your domain, you're almost non-existent. They say the average position is 99. We don't really track past 100. Only one of the keywords that we're looking to track based off of what you rank for, long distance movers, is position 81, which effectively puts you on like page 8 of Google. And the thing about that type of ranking is that, let me open up the keyword report, is that they say like the best place to hide a dead body is the second page of Google because no one ever goes there. That's like the ongoing joke about Google in general. People go to the first page, and if they don't find what they're looking for, sometimes they'll go to the second page, but more often than not, people will just do a different search to try to find what they're looking for in a different way so that the results change. A lot of the time, I think that people have kind of trained themselves is that if they don't get the result that they're intending to get on Google on the first search, instead of continuing to search through Google's second, third, fourth, fifth page, they just change the search that they did. So the initial move I would recommend is absolutely start the SEO program because you're gonna want to get this ranking a much higher. You can see all the volume that you could be getting from these keywords organically on a monthly basis, and you're just getting none. So while building out the SEO program, what I recommend you do is also run Google Ads, fill in the gap, drive the leads. You're already doing Google Ads, so it's not a foreign concept, but we'll run it in a way that is extremely efficient. And then at the same time, as you invest in your SEO, you'll increase your ranking as well. You could do one or the other, but then again, it factors back into which one of these would you prefer to have zeroed out. I always recommend doing SEO and PPC together because they coincide together. Once both are net profit positive and feeding themselves as far as the budget and covering the management fees, that's when you can open up your social channel, run ads on social because you already know that your other marketing strategies are effectively paying for themselves. So that's really the important thing that I wanted to have on the takeaway here is that there is no organic ranking for your website. We should absolutely start fixing this immediately. There's a lot to be said about a company that doesn't rank at all on Google and what that does for your overall inbound traffic. So one way that I like to discuss how to get started is to actually build a calculator based off of the revenue that we've already generated before. So this is a quick example, and this is a tool that you'll have with your report and everything else that we've provided for you in the Google Drive. But effectively, what we recommend is getting the monthly ad budget established. This is examples for 3,000. Each of the channels we manage is $2,500 per channel. So we have the monthly management for Google Ads in there, $2,500. And your average cost per click is $20. So out of the budget that you have for 3,000, we have 150 clicks that you can get from that campaign based off of your average cost per click. And we have what we have is the lowest cost, the lowest conversion rate, clicks that convert into actual leads. With the other moving companies we have, it's around 20 to 30% because we're dialed in. But when we launched, some of them are even lower than 10%, and we use 10% as an actual baseline. So out of that, you're going to be able to give 100% of those people quotes. How many people you sign once you give them a quote can change. So these green areas, you can actually go in there and manipulate the numbers to kind of give you a better idea of where you come in at. But let's say out of every 10 quotes you give, 7 people sign up. Then it's just a matter of looking at your average revenue per contract. So let's say your average move, especially if you're doing long distance moves, is probably a lot higher than this. But you probably also do some short distance moves too that might add up to 1,000 to a couple thousand. So I just picked 5,000 as an average in between. So between the jobs that you'll land from this, your overall revenue would be 52,000 from your investment, which means that your overall investment would be about 5,500. You'd almost get back 55,000 based off of your higher cost per click. Now, where did I get this number from? Your keyword report. 1 second, it's loading. I got this from the top of page. Now, top of page is confusing. What that means is at the very top of Google, number 1 for the ad space. It's actually shown that position 2 and 3 have comparable conversion rates to position 1. So we don't usually demand position 1, especially if it doesn't make us convert better, or if the person bidding on position 1, if their ad's not strong, we can beat them out simply based off of the quality of the ads that we're running. So we don't usually add in the entire cost per click. We do want to keep it realistic, so we do elevate the cost as much as possible and lower the conversion rate as much as possible to give the most realistic view of how this would work out. I also know that you're renting trucks, so that might cut into the profit margin a little bit more, but you can change this percentage. But overall, your gross revenue would be 52,500. And then if you look at your profit margin, your gross profit would be 13,000. So that means your walk away after everything would be 13,000. I usually try to look at the gross. Main reason is because it gives you a better read of how the campaign is doing. Profit margin's more of like an operational prowess thing. We have no impact on companies' operations. We're not like operational consultants or anything like that. We can absolutely help with the campaigns though. So for instance, if we wanted more long distance, or if we wanted more short distance, if we wanted less or more furniture moving, I personally want to get the highest revenue grossing jobs in the city and work our way back down from there. So if there's extra money for furniture, great. If there's not, you want the bigger jobs anyways. So this has already gone over 30 minutes. Instead of taking any more time, what I want to do is send this over. And let's schedule our one-on-one and go through this and play with these numbers to figure out where a good starting point would be, and also come up with a bundled discount for your SEO and PPC so you can start on both without having to have too many extra fees, and we can always work something out long-term as far as once you guys are taking the same growth trajectory as the other people that we work with, then we can slowly start to build back the management fee that will reduce up front to help you get started. Looking forward to working with you. I'm excited about this. We plan on doing a really big roadshow around the country for moving companies because we've already taken Brooks as an example from 20 to 200K per month. This is something that we can do for many moving companies. So excited to get started with you guys. If you have any questions, please let me know.